Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. Welcome to episode 2 of the Missoula Dems Show. We're still very new here.
Yes, we are.
We're here in the downtown Missoula MCAT studios, and as always, thank you MCAT for hosting us and allowing us to do these really cool things. We're super lucky to have this resource.
Absolutely, it's amazing here at the Missoula Public Library.
Missoula Public Library.
Stop by.
Totally. We're lucky to have that too.
We are.
I'm Andy Nelson. I'm the chair of the local Missoula County Democrats Party, and you are?
I'm Lauren Wilson. I am the vice chair of the Missoula County Democrats Party, and I'm also a pediatrician in town.
Yes, she's a doctor. It's actually Dr. Lauren Wilson. So what do we do, Lauren? What does our central committee embark on? What do we do around here?
So a central committee, it sounds kind of funny, right? I have a hard time with the name and explaining it to people, but we're basically the grassroots base of the Democratic Party. And our committee consists of people who we call precinct captains. And those precinct captains really have like their finger on the pulse of what's happening in their neighborhood. And they represent that neighborhood and those issues at our central committee meetings, and then come back and engage in volunteer efforts and really talk to folks who live around them and try to get them engaged in democratic politics.
Yeah. And on that note, we'd love for anybody interested to come check us out and what we do. Yes. So our next monthly meeting is I know, it sounds boring, but you should come. We're actually kind of fun. Is
Mostly.
June 10th. The meeting will begin at 7 in the Gallagher Business School on campus, just off Arthur there, room 123. And we typically have a really cool guest speaker beforehand.
Yes.
Who's our guest speaker?
Yes, we do. For the month of June, we have a local immigration lawyer. Her name is Kari Hong, and she does really incredible work with folks around us who I think might not be visible to the rest of the community necessarily, but are having their own issues with immigration, with legal immigration that she's helping with. So Kari is going to come speak to us, and she will leave time to answer questions if anyone has questions about what's going on. I think some people might have seen in the news recently that for people to apply to green cards now, they have to actually leave the country and do so from their home country, and that can take a year or two.
Wow.
And so that's a huge issue for folks who might be in a job. They might be in the tech industry, to have to suddenly leave that job, go back to their home country and apply if they want to stay here long term. And just understanding the implications of that, I think, is something that we should all be interested in.
Yeah, for sure. I've really been following the Orozco case.
Yes.
Because I'm from Culbertson, which is just 14 miles south of Freud, where this man was taken into custody, basically. Mr. Orozco, who had lived in Freud for 15 years or something.
Yeah, and was a diesel mechanic there, right? I mean, not many other people could do that work.
Right, exactly. Yeah, he was the only person in the area that did it. Had a big family, very community oriented, and then one day the Border Patrol started coming to his house, and eventually he was taken into custody. And for the last 4 months, local attorneys from my hometown have been fighting to get him out, and they won.
Yes.
And he was able to go home a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and the town really welcomed him back. That was wonderful to hear the outcome of that.
Yeah. Huge news.
So
yes, that Kari Hong's presentation will be June 10th from 6 o'clock to 7 in the Gallagher Business School on campus, room 123. So definitely come if you can. If you can't but want to see it, we typically live stream our presentations, which you can live stream through the Missoula County Democrats YouTube page. We also have some other upcoming events, and these are in relation to the big election coming up. These are Get Out the Vote events that our organizer, Allison Wilson, is putting together. So the first one is going to be on Sunday, May 31st at GoodWorks Ventures, which is at 129 West Alder Street here in downtown Missoula. It's a phone bank. We're just going to be getting out the vote to people we know that haven't voted yet, answering questions if folks have any, but really just getting out the vote. This first one will be from 2 o'clock to 5 p.m. on May 31st, which is a Sunday, GoodWorks Ventures. The second one, which is the following day, is going to be happening over Zoom from 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock on Monday, June 1st. So again, these are Get Out the Vote events. If you've never done this before, just come and check it out. You might find it enjoyable.
It sounds intimidating at first, but it's actually really good, and you can remind folks in Missoula to turn in their ballots because they might have gotten them in the mail a while ago. They might not have known a couple names. They might have waited to fill them out. And this is just a reminder to say, turn in your ballot. You got to get that in for the primary election.
Right. But don't put it in the mail because we're past that point.
Correct.
Yes.
You definitely want your ballot to be counted. And so for your ballot to be counted, you want to bring it right now to the elections office, or on election day, you can bring it to your polling place. And the elections office is on Wyoming Street. Some of you have been there, so Russell in Wyoming. And they have folks there who can also register you to vote. So if you don't know if your status is up to date, if maybe you didn't get a ballot and you want to know if maybe you're not registered, you can go to My Voter Info MT. My Voter Info. I've got to check that one.
MT. Yeah.
.org. .org.
Yeah.
And put your name and your date of birth in, and it'll tell you if you're active as a voter. And if you're not active, then you go to the elections office and they help you out. And actually, you can register to vote still now. You can go to the elections office in person this week. They have a few Saturday hours. They have a few hours until noon on June 1st, the day before the primary election. And then on the day of the election, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., they will register new voters. And that was kind of a victory, right?
Yep.
So,
yep. Yeah, because there was a legislation from last session that the Republicans brought that tried to limit or shorten the length.
You could only register till noon on election day, and everyone knows what those lines are like, right?
Right.
Yeah, on election day, like huge lines, people trying to register to vote, people trying to turn their ballots in. And so that was really limiting, folks showed up and they might not get in by noon, limiting their ability to register to vote. And we've had same-day voter registration in Montana for a while now, and it's something that the people wanted through a referendum. So luckily, that was overturned in court, and now you can register again for the whole day. So
that's great.
Yeah.
How it should be.
Exactly.
But if you are able to vote early, because you never know what could happen, you might not make it to the elections office for whatever reason. But, you know, if you tend to be one of those people that appreciates the tradition, do what you got to do. But
exactly.
Vote early if you can.
Do you vote in person or do you vote in the mail?
I think I've only voted in person once in my life. And it was probably the first time I ever voted back in Culbertson in a little booth there. But yeah, I just don't have very many memories of voting in person because it's so easy to vote by mail.
Right.
And it's so funny to me how the president has been so anti-vote by mail for years at this point. But we here in Montana have just done it forever.
Right.
It's habit to fill in your ballot.
Right.
Oh, but speaking of filling out your ballot and putting it in the envelope.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
Yes, be careful this year because another piece of Republican legislation that passed, which is voter suppression, plain and simple, is that you have to sign, date, and
put your year of birth.
Put your year of birth on the envelope.
Exactly.
Otherwise, it will not be counted.
I mean, the elections office does make an effort to cure or to count ballots where that might not be legible, and they try to reach out, but a lot of votes don't get counted if people don't put the right year, sign, and put the date on the back of their envelope. Not on the secrecy envelope, but on the back of the envelope that you actually stick in the mail. Right. You've got to do those 3 things. So don't forget to do those things. And if they do reach out to cure your ballot, to check if you maybe needed to write the year and forgot, then answer your phone, go cure your ballot. They're able to do that. And some of these races have been decided across our state by just a few votes. I mean, there was a levy in Bonner just decided by 10 votes or something very small. So your vote does count, especially in Montana.
Speaking of levies, there were some levies that passed recently, and we talked about those with Jenny Walsh, trustee of the MCPS School Board, in last week's episode. So if you're interested in learning what the levies are all about, check out last week's episode. Yeah,
there was a lot of good information that was shared, definitely. So I learned a lot.
Cool. Well, any other important information about the elections coming up?
Maybe before people go in to vote, we could talk about who's on the ballot, just so that you can be prepared. If you got the ballot in the mail and you can review it, keep in mind that there are 3 different pieces of paper that come. There's the Democratic primary ballot, the Republican primary ballot, and then I believe we got the Libertarian one.
Right.
And so you pick one. Yeah, you don't vote all 3.
As much as you want to, just pick one.
And we do have open primaries, so people, pick whatever feels good to them. There's no rule about what you have to pick, but we do encourage you to vote in the Democratic primary. So pick that one, and then what you'll see on that ballot are, our Senate race, right? Because our senator pulled a fast one and ducked out of that race. Senator Daines kind of last minute got his buddy to file, Kurt Alme. And then we have some great folks who are running on the Democratic side. So you want to check that out, the Senate race. Also, the 1st Congressional District in Montana is a competitive district, and there's 4 amazing candidates who are running for that. And they've, put a ton of time into meeting voters, into talking about issues, into really meeting people where they're at. So there's actually a lot out there on those four guys who are running for the 1st Congressional District to replace Ryan Zinke, who also ducked out of that race. So if you want any information on those 4 candidates, we have some videos. If you go to MissoulaDemocrats.org, got the .org on this one.
/
Candidates.
Candidates.
You can go to MissoulaDemocrats.org. You can check everything out. But under elected officials, there's a candidate tab, and it has questionnaires. It has some videos that candidates filmed. So you can really get to know the folks who are running. And then people will be voting in other races too, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of down ballot races, including the state legislature, which is very important. I tell people all the time, pay attention to local politics, because that actually probably affects you even more than at the national level. And they may literally be your neighbor. Like, your representative may live in the house next door to you. That's how local it is. But yeah, here in Missoula, we're fortunate to have 15 legislative districts between the House and the Senate. Most of those, at least all the House ones, are up for re-election. So there's lots of great Democratic candidates running in those races. You can get to know a lot of those on our website. There's currently 3 open legislative races. And by open, I mean that the current office holder is termed out of that seat. So that means there's new people running, which means there's Democratic primaries. So there's Democrats running against other Democrats. And frankly, they're all great candidates. So.
Yeah, and it gives you choices. So you can take a look and see which candidate you feel best represents your interests. You can get to know them. And you can reach out to them, because they're often our neighbors. And their job is to head to the State House and represent us. So they're find them really approachable from that point of view.
Exactly.
And
their job will begin after the first of the year, January through April. The Montana legislature only meets once every 2 years for basically 100 days, or a little less than 100
90 days. But sometimes they don't use all their 90 days. They save them for later. So usually we just pay attention to that session, January to April, or the very first week of May. So they'll be doing the work for us then, but they're out in your communities and meeting voters and figuring out what issues are important to us before they head to that legislative session and take their votes.
And there's a lot of other down ballot races. Some of them are nonpartisan because they're judicial races. I believe there's 2, maybe 3 of those. All the way down to the justice of the peace.
Yeah, absolutely. So read your ballot, ask around, look for information. You have information on all of the Democratic, on all the partisan races on our website for the Democratic ballot. But just be informed and get your ballot in, because really when it comes down to it, the power that we have is in our vote. We've got to vote. We've got to care about who we're electing if we want anything to change about our day-to-day lives. And I know it feels overwhelming sometimes to read the number of names on there and to, figure out who it might be, who can best, represent what you need to have happen in your day-to-day life. But the connection is there. Your vote leads to changes that can affect you day to day. And so we've got to turn our ballots in.
Gotta vote. And with that, thanks for joining us this week. We appreciate it. And make sure to get that ballot in by June 2nd at 8:00 p.m. Thanks.
Thank you.